We're retiring early.
No, we're not. No, we're not retiring early. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the difference between retiring early and financial independence, and why there's a huge difference between the two. Among social media, well, everywhere these days, retiring early is a huge discussion and I think a goal for a lot of people, and that's great. It should be your goal to be able to retire early, but not necessarily retire early, and we're going to get into that in this video.
Okay, so like John said, our goal is not really to retire early, but to be able to retire early, and we'll elaborate a little more on what our specific goals are, but first we kind of want to talk a little bit about the huge movement that's on social media and everything about retiring early, or as John says, FIRE, which I just learned about.
So if you don't know what FIRE is financial independence, retire early. And it's a great movement. It's a good thing to follow and a good goal to try to reach. But you really need to look deep into this, because I think if you just take it at face value, you'll think, hey, if I do this movement, I'll retire at 30 and everything will be good to go. That's just not the case. And I could even talk a little bit about my story and my short retirement stint and how it did not work out the way I thought it was going to.
Yes, so while that might not be our goal now, John did retire early when you were 30.
So yeah, I was 29 years old. I just sold my first company, and she was going to do travel nursing, and we were just going to set out and travel the world and everything was going to be fine. So I thought. So we got to California on our first assignment and everything was going good. I was relaxing, I was hanging out by the pool. She was working 3 days a week. We were spending our off time traveling, hiking, doing all types of fun things. And this was fun for a little while. And then shortly after that, I realized that I needed something to work on, and I was going crazy. So I was trying everything. I was day trading, I was looking into real estate. I was trying to get into anything I could. And I realized quickly that I needed to be productive, or I was going to be completely miserable no matter where we lived. And I think a lot of people don't understand this. They think that when they retire early, everything's going to be margaritas on the beach and they'll just hang out for the next 20, 30, 40 years and everything will be fine. And while some people can do that, I would say it's a rare. Even you couldn't do that, babe. Look at all the things you have going on now. She couldn't do it either.
I think I could do it.
She could do it easier than I could, or for longer than I could, but I promise you, you will get bored. You will find yourself with a lack of motivation, a lack of drive, and a lack of purpose, and it will drive you crazy to the point of depression, in which I actually reached while we were in Maui. I wasn't depressed the whole time, but I had times when she was at work, and I had nothing to work on, and I got really sad because I did not feel useful or productive. So please keep that in mind when you say you're going to retire at 30 or 40 or 50 years old. That's not usually the case, and it's not sustainable for most.
John lasted about 1 week of being retired before he started waking up at I think it was 6 a.m. because it was 9 a.m. on the East Coast when the stock market opened, and he was doing day trading because that was something he started researching when he got bored after 1 week. And I remember that he really wasn't ever retired after that day because he kept just trying to do other stuff the whole time. And he was doing like photography at this point, but that was more of a hobby, and he wasn't making that into like a career or anything like that. So it was something we did for fun when we were like hiking and exploring.
Yeah, so at that moment, or during that time, we realized that financial independence and the ability to retire early is more important to us and more of a reality than actually retiring early. And so I really want you guys to think about that and keep that in mind if that's your mission and that's your goal.
So now we're kind of going to talk about the big movement for retire early on social media. And this is something we've seen a lot of, and being behind the scenes and on the other side of it, we kind of have better insight. So this does not apply to everybody, because some people can really retire early and some people really do retire early and don't have the same issues that we had where they get bored and want to keep working. But a lot of the social media people you see that are like 25, 30, 35 that say they're retired early are still working. So they're working. Social media is a job. When you're making YouTube videos, posting on Instagram, doing all this stuff, selling products, spreadsheets, courses, that is work. So technically you are not retired. Although they may have the ability to be retired, they are not. They're still working and making income. And I think often people see these people and say, oh my gosh, how are they retired? How are they going to survive the rest of their lives? Like, how come I can't do that? And they're not all the way retired, and they're still making money so that they can survive the rest of their lives. I think a more accurate way to describe this would be getting out of like the rat race and the jobs that you don't want that you feel like you have to have. So basically getting into entrepreneurship and starting something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, so like she said, I think we all have this tendency to compare ourselves to others. And so when you see these titles, retired early at 25, retired early at 35, we start comparing ourselves. But please understand that those are just catchy thumbnails and titles, and they're probably selling courses, and they're probably not actually retired. In fact, if you see that video, they're still working. So they may have the ability to, but they're not actually retired.
I don't think that these people are necessarily trying to be deceiving
Some
or
are.
anything. Yeah, some are, but I think that they're sharing their like financial freedom journey with everybody, and retirement is kind of the key word. So I don't think they're intentionally trying to lie, but they're maybe not telling the whole truth or showing the whole picture, because while they might be financially free, they're not retired if they're still working.
Right, so people oftentimes reach out to Rhianna and I and wonder why we keep working so hard and want to know when's enough. And that's a great question. We actually don't have that exact answer. We just know that we want to increase the gap between having to work and the ability to retire early. So that's why we continue to work so hard. But we're also focusing more on passive income.
Yes. So we are financially free. I don't know if John already said that, but that to us is not our end goal. So we want to increase our passive income. And retiring early is kind of a whole separate thing. I think of these as like three separate things: financial freedom, retiring early, and increasing your passive income. They're like three different categories, but they all relate to each other.
Yes, because for some, retiring early means living on as little as $25,000 a year. And I'm not knocking anybody. We've lived on that before. We're technically living on that now, give or take. So I'm not knocking that, but that's not something that we would find comfortable or something that we would call a comfortable lifestyle for us and all the traveling that we do. Again, if that's your number, then that's your number. Everybody needs to figure out what their number is. But ours is a little bit higher than that just because of the things that we want to do when we retire early or just live off of our passive income. Also, we are thinking about the little one in our life now. We want to make sure she's taken care of and plan for accordingly, whether that be for college or whatever she wants to do in life. We want to be able to support her on that journey.
So our goal, the reason we want to build our passive income, in case you're wondering, is so that we can travel more of the world, kind of at a higher level than we have been in the past with our backpacks and our hostels.
We enjoy that though.
No, we do enjoy it a lot, but sometimes you want to go somewhere nicer and you pass up on it because there's somewhere cheaper you can go. Well, we want to go everywhere, so some of these places are going to be more expensive.
I know one of the places, you can put it right here, right now, is the resort in Maldives with the water slide.
Oh, it's like the Sona Java or something. I can't remember.
Whatever it's called, that would be a nice goal to stay there for 3 or 4 nights at least. But I heard that it's not cheap. Anyway, that would be like a goal of ours, and that's some places that we'd like to stay in the future.
And we want to take B along and show her the world, and we want to just be able to help more.
I think you just touched on that too, and of course if you watch us you know that we do this, but to give back more. The more you have, the more you can give. So if we're able to earn more, then the more we can give. So that's why it continues to be a goal for us to increase that passive income over the next 10 or 15 years when we do finally decide to either scale back how much we're working or retire early if that's something that we choose, but I doubt it.
So while we're on the topic of passive income, I want to kind of talk for a second about how I don't really think, let's see if John agrees with me, that passive income is always completely passive. So sometimes it is, like if you sell a product and get a royalty from a company, like you're an inventor or something like that, but I think that's more rare. And most of the time passive income is not completely passive because you still have to manage your money or your investments that are giving you that income. For example, having a rental property. So yes, you may have a property manager, but that property manager will have to contact you sometimes and you'll have to be checking on your properties. So that's a little bit of work right there. And investing your money and getting a return on your investment, like in the stock market or something like that, also requires work because you have to know what to invest in, you have to pay attention to your money, how much is where, and if you hire somebody to do this for you, you still have to keep in contact with them, pay attention to how much you're making, and budget your money that way. So do you agree that there's not really passive income?
Yeah, it's an excellent point. I actually have had this debate with many people in the past, and the fact that there's more passive income,
yes,
but absolute passive income is very rare unless you, like you said, you invented something or you have a royalty of some type. Passive income is usually not always passive. Something needs managed somewhere down the line. The more systems you put in place, the more people you put between you and the thing that's earning you money, the more passive it becomes, but it will always need managed in some aspect.
I have been trying to invent something for a really long time, especially in the healthcare field, but I'm not very creative, I think. I'm not like engineer minded, so I have not came up with anything yet.
Oh, you're smart, babe. You'll think of something.
Oh, I thought of stuff that's already invented, so I guess that's a start.
That's great. So yes, just keep that in mind. Passive income is not always truly passive, at least not 100%. But there are instances where it's more passive than obviously going to a 9-to-5 job. Absolutely, I agree with that.
I agree with that. It's more passive on your time. So I think like time is valuable and it's a huge thing to a lot of people.
It's not just valuable, it's the most valuable thing.
That's true.
We need to make a video just on that.
Yeah. So by increasing your time, you're making your workload more passive.
What's Beamer doing back there?
I don't know. Hey buddy, lay down.
Sorry, our dog's digging a hole through our couch.
Lay down, buddy. Okay, so we talked so much about passive income, but we didn't talk about how we plan to build our passive income. We do have some passive income right now. I think I said passive income like 300 times just now, but we have a rental property that brings us passive income every month. And we made a whole video about that, which we'll link in the description below, or John will, because this is his channel, but
Passive.
yes. So that will be in the video below, how much money we make off our rental property. But in order to increase our passive income to what we want it to be, which that number we're still figuring out, and we'll make a video about that when we finally decide on a number. But in order to increase it, we want to have more rental properties, multifamilies, because we like multifamilies better than single families. And also we want to have more investments in the stock market.
Yeah, so I don't think a number of units is actually the goal, because the money they produce should be the goal. If you can have one unit cash flowing you $180,000 a year, you're good to go. But it's really going to be hard to find. We have one multi-unit right now. I think that we'll need, if they're all comparable, we'll probably need another 10 to 15 units to hit the number that we want to hit on top of our retirement portfolio inside of the stock market.
He said the number we want to hit, which we do know range, we just don't know an exact number.
She keeps adding things that we need in retirement or that we'll need later down the road, so the units just keep growing. All right.
No, wait, I want to say something else.
Okay.
Just kidding. Oh, wait, just kidding.
All right, everybody, that'll wrap up this video. I hope this helps you understand the difference between retiring early and financial independence or financial freedom. There is a big difference. While retiring early should be an absolute goal because you don't want to have to work till you're 90, financial independence or financial freedom is actually more important in your 30s and 40s. That way you don't go stir crazy trying to sit on the beach with your margarita for the rest of your life.
Unless that you think you can, like how I think that I can. And if that's your goal, that's completely fine.
Yes, so figure out your number, work towards that, and I hope all of you reach financial freedom earlier than later. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up. Go check out Rhianna's channel at Rhianna Fariel and subscribe if you like this content. We'll see you guys on the next video.